our honorable speakers from Philippines, Ma'am Limay Farallon. Welcome, ma'am.
Hello, Nisha. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar program today. In wherever part of the world you are, I greet you a special and awesome day. This time, we shall discuss another topic that is very relevant to our situation as professionals. But before we do so, may I invite you first to seek God with me in prayer. Shall we all close our eyes and seek the Lord in prayer? Our Almighty Father, the Creator of heaven and earth, we thank you for everything, Lord, that you have done for us. We thank you for this day that you have added in our lives. This moment, O God, as we have this program, may you open our hearts and our minds that we will be able to learn many lessons and we will be able to serve better our constituents, our colleagues, our recipients, our students, our partners. May you help us, Father, to be productive professionals that will further your kingdom in this world. Guide us always, dear God, and we entrust to you our lives and our everything. This we ask in the loving name of Jesus. Amen. In one way or another, we work with people and associate with others to succeed in our hustles. As individuals of progress, it is inevitable for us to suffer a stress free environment. Thus, working becomes cumbersome and takes a toll in our mental health. However, if we learn more effective ways to manage stress in our workplace, we can find greater joy in our dealings. And today, we will discuss exactly those strategies. Please stay tuned and watch until the end of this program for you to be enlightened on the effective ways to promote mental health in our workplace. Before we delve further in our topic, let me introduce myself first. I am Leia Fancubila Farilion Bartolome, a professional teacher from Tapas National High School, Poblacion Tapas, Capiz, Philippines since March 2016. I have a Master of Arts in Education, major in Biological Science degree, but taught for 5 years under the Values Education Department. And I'd like to shout out my co-teachers from Tapas National High School who are watching with us today, and also my family who are very supportive of me to be your speaker today. I am also a licensed physical therapist in the Philippines since February 2016 and a licensed massage therapist in August 2017. But of all my achievements by far, what I am proudest of is having a family. Currently, I am a mother of two very active but sweetest boys. That is why, in all my pursuits in life, I always seek to find balance and ways how to manage the day to day stresses to be a more loving mother to my children. In our discussion today, we have the following top four learning objectives. First, to familiarize with the different aspects of man. Second, to define what is mental health and stress. Third, to acquaint several strategies to maintain positive mental health, especially at work. And fourth, to strategize programs to help develop holistic well being and positive work ethics. As human beings develop, they begin to understand themselves, others, and life. They create their own worldview of how they comprehend the world. They learn from direct experiences with their family, friends, tribe, teachers, culture, environment, animals, nature, and other influences. We are all shaped by our internal and external environments. The author, Dr. Reverend Miller, who have studied many disciplines, concluded in a simple yet integrated view on who we are as organisms in perpetual development, the life wheel, or the seven aspects of who you are. The illustration you see now in your screen represents the seven core attributes or elements or aspects of human beings, and through this, we can better understand each other, as these qualities can be considered to be the integral parts of our nature. the innate traits or characteristics that determine who we are. This, combined with other ingredients, make up our recipe as a human being. The life wheel encompasses 7 human attributes, which we will discuss as we go further. The first attribute is the self aspect. The self is the internal core quality of each individual. This is your center or your sense of I. It is represented as the hub of the life wheel. All of your experiences and human aspects touch, influence, interact with, and revolve around your inner self. This includes how you experience and perceive yourself as a distinct individual. This self is totally invisible and intangible. Nevertheless, it is perceived as fully vibrant and alive within you. All people feel as if they have some kind of inner self. Some refer to the self as their soul, their ego, their psyche, or the inner psychological being. Some believe that we have higher and lower selves within us. The self is your identity of who you are. This self attribute is the most unique characteristic that differentiates you from other living organisms and animals on earth. It is this self, along with your mental faculties, that seems to analyze and reflect on who you are and make meaning out of your life as you strive to find purpose. The second attribute is the physical aspect. You have a physical body that you live in. This is the important concrete element in your self identity. You may tend to define yourself by your body. For many people, we are our body. Your physical form may or may not be a cardinal aspect of your self identity. Your body allows you to express yourself, to receive sensations, and experience the world directly. Through your physical being, you move and behave, experience the 5 senses. The first is the seeing, second is the smelling, third is the taste or tasting, fourth is the touch or touching, and last is the hear or hearing, and it is known to be the last sense that will go out from us when we are dying. Through this physical aspect, we take actions, we perform, and we function. This is your most material and tangible attribute of your humanity. You may have either a great deal of control or limited control over your body and its development and aging. Your body may be healthy and highly functional and adaptive, or it may not function well and assert certain limits upon you. You might be physically healthy, or you may suffer with injuries, disease, or illness. If your body is seriously neglected, mistreated, injured, or diseased, you will die. The third attribute is the behavioral aspect. Human behavior includes your physical actions, movements, and how you express yourself. Your behavior may be conscious, planned, and purposeful, or unconscious, automatic, and habitual. In other words, it may be within your awareness and control and performed decisively and with discipline. Or your behavior may be out of your awareness and control, reactive or impulsive. Your behaviors express yourself. They represent how you function alone or in response to others. Behavior encompasses how you act or perform from second to second throughout your lifetime. Your behavior is judged by others and may present itself within normal limits, or it may be quite unusual. You are responsive to your environment and how you influence things and others around you through your behavior. You may also refer to your behavior as how you handle or manage yourself, your comportment, your mannerisms, styles, routines, and speech. You usually behave in accordance with your belief systems, your cultural norms, and your ethical standards. You are probably comfortable expressing some behaviors that seem to be automatic and habitual. Other behaviors may be new, so you experiment and try new behaviors to test how they work and feel. Some behaviors take a lot of practice and talent to acquire. Some are easier to learn. With others, you may find yourself to be quite clumsy and awkward, just like me sometimes. The fourth attribute is the social aspect. You are a social animal. You live and interact with other people, usually on a daily basis. You may have joined together with a mate to create offspring and to parent children. You interact with strangers as well as colleagues and friends. You join others to form partnerships, families, teams, groups, organizations, companies, communities, as well as your nation and culture. The quality of your social interactions may be highly participatory and functional or poor and limited. At times, interpersonal experiences are painful and disturbing, while at other times, your communications may be very gratifying and pleasurable. You may enjoy many love relationships and sexuality, but you could also have few intimate relationships and avoid sexual relations. Interpersonal relationships can be very harmonious and pleasurable. They can also become quite conflictual and painful. Sometimes you feel needy and dependent upon others, while at other times you are self sufficient and independent. The fifth attribute is the emotional aspect. Humans experience inner emotions, feelings, and affects. They are physical sensations and reactions that you feel inside your body. You may refer to your internal feeling activity as sentiments or passions. They usually arise in reaction to your thoughts, interactions, experiences, and memories. At times, your emotions will move or touch you internally. They motivate and drive your behaviors and thoughts. Persistent overriding emotions are referred to as moods or temperament. Your emotions are experienced along a continuum ranging from very mild to very intense. They fluctuate between being very positive, high pleasure and euphoric feelings as in love and joy, to being experienced as very negative and highly painful, such as despair and hatred. You may usually believe that external events trigger your emotions. However, many of your feelings are physical reactions to your own internal mental thoughts, beliefs, expectations, and memories. Therefore, you do have some control over and responsibility for your emotions and their behavioral expression. The sixth attribute is the spiritual aspect. Spirituality is highly individualized. Our spiritual attribute may be very private and confidential. It is even said that if we discuss spirituality or about religion in the table, it is a highly negative thing because we should not discuss religious in our table. So it is one of the very intriguing table manners. It may be difficult to articulate your spirit because you experience it on a nonverbal or emotional level, or you may feel very comfortable speaking about it publicly or with others you trust. You may encounter your spiritual side through sensations or perceptions that inform you that there is a higher being or greater good, a higher order or presence, a higher meaning or purpose in the universe for humans to connect with and decipher. At times, your spiritual sense may be somewhat vague and evasive. It may take your interpretation to understand your inner spiritual inclinations and feelings. You may believe that the source comes from within. On the other hand, you might also understand it as being out there and perceiving it as nature, or you may refer to it as faith. The last and the seventh attribute, which is the main highlight of our discussion today, is the mental aspect. The mental aspect refers to your intellectual processing, thinking, and analyzing thoughts. Most likely, you experience this coming from your brain or mind. You probably perceive and associate your mental center as coming from your head area in your body, although your thoughts are invisible instruments that can be detected by electrical nerve activity or firings in your brain associated with thought processing. Your thoughts include horde of simple and complex sensations, ideas, images, memories, perceptions, judgments, decisions, beliefs, expectations, assumptions, conclusions, and focal points. Through your mental capacities, you comprehend, you understand, and you make sense of yourself and the outer world. This is your learning and executive center. Thus, we can say that there is an interplay between these aspects. All of these seven aspects or the faculties that you see in your screen right now interact with one another. Each one is connected to and overlaps with the others. They are interwoven because we are multifaceted beings. Who show different faces to the world and feel different within ourselves depending upon which aspect may be asserting itself most at the moment. These attributes have the ability to influence and change one another. Each one can disturb and interfere or nurture and support each other of the elements. These human aspects impact one another and often compensate for one another as they strive together for a sense of personal stability, integration, and balance. As these qualities affect one another, they can strengthen or weaken the others. Although balance is the ideal that we strive for, few humans are truly imbalanced because you are an ever changing, dynamic being in a flux. So, if one aspect is sick, the others would be most likely sick as well. And today, we will tackle one of the most controversial aspects that often becomes faulty, but it is not very much treated well. It is our mental health and well being. This aspect is often not clearly defined because it is filled with so much disdain and stigma. When one is physically sick, we can easily offer comfort, prayers, and reassurances. But when the mind is sick, we often look at the sick person as cursed and hopeless. It is easy for us to praise when one has high mental capacity, but when our mind weakens and becomes sick, it is often neglected. So I hope from all of us today who are listening from this program and have access to these presentations that we may be able to help one another to break the stigma against mental health disorders, and we will be aware of what we can do to promote mental health. Let us solve and discuss mental health issues so we may foster love and care for those mentally challenged and ill. However, to fully understand what mental health and well being is, let us take a look at different authors who have defined it. And I hope that you may also form your own definition of mental health to create awareness in our community and negate the stigma. One definition of mental health from Public Health Agency of Canada is that mental health is the capacity of every individual to feel, to think, and act in ways that enhance their ability to enjoy life and deal with challenges. It is a positive sense of emotional and spiritual well being that respects the importance of culture, equity, social justice, interconnections, and personal dignity. Another definition is according to Cora.com, when it said, good mental health is about wellness rather than illness. It includes our emotional, psychological, and social well being, and is usually described as a state where a person can cope with the normal stresses of life, work productively, and is able to make a meaningful contribution to their community. The Tanglao Mental Health Organization defined it as like physical health. It is a category of health that caters to the balance between emotional and mental wellness and illness. It includes the mental health management skills we need to cope with the stresses of life, to live and work productively, and to create healthy social relationships and support systems. Lastly, mental health and well being, according to the World Health Organization, is not just the absence of mental disorder. It is defined as a state of well being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. And so, hearing those different definitions, what is mental health to you? Please compose your own definitions of mental health and share them in our comment section. As someone working in a classroom setting, I can personally attest that my mental health is often challenged. The stresses in the classroom become overpowering that makes me unable to function well in some aspects of my life. To be added more are the different paperworks that must be filled in and answered. It makes one to be hampered to perform well. These surmounting tasks are debilitating. They cause stress and burnout. New studies found that 90% of the United Kingdom workers are stressed most of the time. And I don't know in your countries, but I know that stress is a global problem. It is even probably worse than the COVID-19 pandemic because we just don't record, but many health problems are caused by stress. And so I think that stress is the most common mental health issue that we face in our society today. So let us learn more about it. What is stress? Stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension. It can come from any event or thought that makes you feel frustrated, angry, or nervous. Stress is your body's reaction to a challenge or demand. In short bursts, stress can be positive, such as when it helps you to avoid danger or meet a deadline. Stress from UN Academy is a physical and emotional state always present in the person, one which is influenced by various environmental, psychological, and social factors, but uniquely perceived by the person and intensified in response when environmental change or threat occurs internally or externally and the person must respond. According to the American Institute of Stress, there is no definition of stress that everyone agrees on. What is stressful for one person may be pleasurable or have little effect on others. We all react to stress differently. And lastly, according to Edgar Allan Powers, stress is the body's and the mind's reaction to everyday demands or threats. It provides and produces changes in mind and body. But since it has no definitive meaning and it differs to one person and the other, what does stress mean to you? However, there are two generally types of stress: the good stress, which is eustress, and the bad stress, which is distress. Eustress or positive stress occurs when your level of stress is high enough to motivate you to move into action to get things accomplished, or when something pleasing will result at the end of the stressful situation. Just like what we do in our classes as teachers in a public school setting. Right now, we are stressed to do many works because it's now we are nearing the end of school year, right? So there are a lot of works to be done, but somehow you can say that it's you stress because there is still a positive thing that you get to accomplish even though you have a level of stress. However, we have this distress or the negative stress that we often know. It is when your level of stress is either too high or too low, and your body and your mind begin to respond negatively to the stressors. So, this is what happens when some of the people that I know, because of their level of stress, they get hospitalized. And sadly, some are even they even become comatose or they get sick and they need medical attention. So let's avoid this kind of stress or this distress. And for us to know what to avoid or how to lessen the effect of stress in our body, we have to know what are the causes of stress. So the first type of stress that we shall discuss is also life stress. I will mention the most common causes, and here they are. One is the death of a loved one. Second is divorce. Third is the loss of job. Fourth is the increase in financial obligations. Fifth is getting married. Sixth is moving to a new home. Seventh is chronic illness or injury. Eighth is emotional problems. So when you have depression, when you have anxiety, when you have anger, when you have grief, when you have guilt and low self-esteem, they cause life stress. Ninth is the taking care of an elderly or sick family member. And the last, or the number 10, is having a traumatic event, such as a natural disaster, a theft, a rape, or violence against you or a loved one. Another form of stress is work stress, and it is found to be the most common stress. As we go on in our discussion, you will know the reason why it is known to be the most common, so stay tuned. What are the causes of work stress? As the researchers show, some of these are number one, being unhappy in your job. Number two, having a heavy workload or too much responsibility. Third, working long hours. Fourth, having poor management, unclear expectations of your work, or no say in the decision making process. Fifth, working under dangerous conditions. Sixth, being insecure about your chance for advancement or risk of termination. 7. Having to give speeches in front of colleagues. 8. Facing discrimination or harassment at work, especially if your company isn't supportive. Now, let us take a survey of how much stressed you are. I invite you to get a pen and paper as we answer a 30-item survey to determine the level of stress that we currently have. Please get them now because you need to answer 30 questions. This is for free because if you will want to know your stress level, you have to undergo under a psychometrician. So you have to pay a little fee. But this afternoon, we will have a survey for free and it will help you determine your level of stress. When I mention a situation, you rank it to 1 to 4 of how frequently do you experience them. 1 as almost, 2 as sometimes, 3 as often, and 4 as usually. After the 30 items, you will tally the results. So are you now ready? I hope you are. Yes, you have responded. You are now ready. Number 1, you feel rested. 1 for almost, 2 sometimes, 3 often, 4 usually. Number 2, you feel that too many demands are being made on you. 1 for almost, 2 sometimes, 3 often, 4 usually. Number 3, you are irritable or grouchy. 1 for almost, 2 sometimes, 3 often, and 4 usually. Number 4, you have too many things to do. 1 for almost, 2 for sometimes, 3 often, and 4 usually. Number 5, you feel lonely or isolated. So rank it from 1 to 4, 1 almost, 2 sometimes, 3 often, and 4 usually. Number 6, you find yourself in situations of conflict. 1 almost, 2 sometimes, 3 often, 4 usually. Number 7, you feel you're doing things you really like. 1 almost, 2 sometimes, 3 often, and 4 usually. Number 8, you feel tired. Number 9, you fear you may not manage to attain your goals. Rank it from 1 to 4. Number 10, you feel calm. Number 11, you have too many decisions to make. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Number 12, you feel frustrated. Number 13, you are full of energy. Number 14, you feel tense. Number 15, your problems seem to be piling up. So 1 for almost, 2 sometimes, 3 often, and 4 usually. Number 16, you feel you're in a hurry. 17, you feel safe and protected. 1 almost, 2 sometimes, 3 often, 4 usually. Number 18, you have many worries. Number 19, you are under pressure from other people. 1 almost, 2 sometimes, 3 often, and 4 usually. Number 20, you feel discouraged. Number 21, you enjoy yourself. Number 22, you are afraid for the future. Number 23, you feel you're doing things because you have to, not because you want to. 1 for almost, 2 sometimes, 3 often, and 4 usually. Number 4, you feel criticized or judged. Or 24, you feel criticized or judged. Number 25, you are lighthearted. Number 26, you feel mentally exhausted. 1 for almost, 2 sometimes, 3 often, 4 usually. Number 27, you have trouble relaxing. Number 28, you feel loaded down with responsibility. Number 29, you have enough time for yourself. And number 30, the last item, you feel under pressure from deadlines. 1 for almost, 2 sometimes, 3 often, and 4 usually. So now let us tally your scores. So you solved 1 to 30. Since you answered 1 to 4, you solve it. The lowest score should be 30 and the highest should be 120. Please take note of your scores. Are you ready for the interpretation? The activity that you answered is called the Perceived Stress Questionnaire. It consists of 30 items. The PSQ was developed as an instrument for assessing the stressful life events and circumstances that tend to trigger or exacerbate disease symptoms. PSQ is a potentially valuable tool for evaluating the underlying causes of sleep disturbances. Higher scores indicate greater levels of stress. And as I told you, I later found out that conducting this perceived stress questionnaire is you have to pay a fee from a psychometrician. But right now, we are having this for free. And this is the interpretation for the PSQ. If you got lower than 50 points, that means that you have a low level to no stress. 50 to 90 indicates moderate level of stress. And 90 and above means that you are very stressed. Who among you here are very stressed? I hope none or there's only a few. because being very stressed is detrimental to our health. Now, as I told you a while ago, work stress is the most common stress that we have. And why? According to Google, 15% of an average life is spent at school, one third or the 33.3% at work, and the other third is for sleeping. So imagine the time that we spend working. That is why it is one of the most common stress, or this is actually the most common stress because we spend a lot of time working. Time spent at work is often said to be the most occupying our or time of our lives. We spend more time with our colleagues than anyone else, but exactly how long do we spend clock in? We spend 9.4 years working, 3,420 days, 82,068 hours worked over your lifetime. These figures are based on a 35-hour working week, an average of 253 working days a year, and an average of retirement age at age 64. But sometimes I know that there are some people who even work beyond 40 hours per week. So just imagine the time that you spend working. For many of us, work is a major part of our lives. It is where we spend much of our time, where we get our income, and often where we make our friends. Having a fulfilling job can be good for your mental health and general well being. The value added to the economy by people who are at work and have or have had mental health problems is as high as 225 billion euro per year. Euro, not US dollars, it's euro, so it's even higher, 225 billion, which represents 12.1% of the United Kingdom's total growth development plan. It's vital that we protect that value by addressing mental health at work for those with existing issues and for those at risk for the workforce and for the whole. A toxic work environment can be corrosive to our mental health. Thus, we are having this discussion today so that I can help you and give you tips on how to support mental health at work. So here is the 7 tips from Mental Health Foundation, United Kingdom. You can access it from the link that I gave in the slides. So let's discuss them now. Number 1, we should talk about our feelings. Talking about your feelings can help you maintain your mental health and deal with times when you feel troubled. Talking about your feelings isn't a sign of weakness. It's a part of taking charge of your well being and doing what you can to stay healthy. It can be hard to talk about feelings at work. If you have colleagues you can talk to or a manager who asks you how you are at supervision sessions, it can really help. Identify someone you feel comfortable with and who will be supportive of you. You may think about what you want to disclose, to who and when is a good time and place to do this. If you are open about how you feel at work, especially if you are a leader, it might encourage others to do the same. If you don't feel and you are not able to talk about your feelings at work, make sure that there is someone you can discuss work pressures with, especially with your partners, with your friends, and your family, because they can serve as your sounding board. That's why I am so grateful. And even though the salary of a public school teacher in the Philippines is only low or meager, I still like working in Tapas National High School because we have a very healthy environment even though we are a government agency. People there are so friendly. We don't have factions or we are not so divided because everyone you can just approach anyone from our team and you can talk about your feelings with them. They can even share things and they can even make you laugh. So number 2, keep active. Regular exercise can boost your self-esteem and can help you concentrate, sleep, and look and feel better. Exercising doesn't just mean doing sport or going to the gym. Experts say that most people should do about 30 minutes exercise at least 5 days a week. Try to make physical activity that you enjoy a part of your day. You may have a physical job like construction, and you'll notice that if you are off, you become sick. That's because your mood is quickly affected by your illnesses, and they can be affected by the change in our activity level. If you work in an office, it can make a huge difference to get out for a walk or do a class at lunchtime or to build in exercise before or after work to ease you into the day or to create a space between work time and personal time. For me, keeping active is one of the greatest challenges that I have because I like to be sedentary. But I know that for us to have a better mental health, well-being, we have to be active. So join me in my fitness goal, in my goal of being active because it will surely help you a lot. Doctors that I know really recommend exercise and being active. Number three, eat well. What we eat can affect how we feel both immediately and in the long term. Up a healthy pattern of eating at work. Regular meals plus plenty of water are ideal. Try and plan for meal times at work, bringing food from home or choosing healthy options when buying lunch. Try and get away from your desk to eat. You could try a lunch club at work. Yes, this is one of the things that we do in Tapas National High School. We always form lunch clubs. Some are even given for free by our dear principal. Shout out. Where you club together to share meals and to try new things. It doesn't have to be expensive. For busy times or times when you are feeling low or stressed, try reducing or giving up caffeine and refined sugar. Make sure that there is a ready supply of fruit and vegetables and snacks like nuts or trail mix that provides ready nutrients. Be aware that some people find public eating at work very stressful because of past or current eating disorders. So if someone doesn't want to come to your work dinners or makes different food choices in the office, do not pass comment or put pressure on them to join in. Let's be kind, let's be sensitive, let's respect each other's preference. Number four, drink sensibly. Yes, this is a challenge because we often drink alcohol to change our mood. Some people drink to deal with fear or loneliness, but the effect is only temporary. Most people don't drink at work, but most of us recognize the pattern of drinking more at the weekend or in the evening when work is hard going. Be careful with work functions that include drinking. It can be tempting to have a drink to get Dutch courage, but if you feel anxious, you may drink too much and end up behaving in a way you'd rather not, which will increase feelings of anxiety in the medium to long term. So basically, avoid drinking alcoholic drinks. Number five, keep in touch. Relationships are key to our mental health. Working in a supportive team is hugely important for our mental health at work. We don't always have a choice about who we work with, and if we don't get on with managers, colleagues, or clients, it can create tension. It may be that you need to practice more self care at these times, but you may also need to address difficulties. Work politics can be a real challenge when we have mental health problems. It can also be helpful to find a mentor or a small group of trusted colleagues with whom you can discuss feelings about work, to sense check, and to help you work through challenges. Try and make sure you maintain your friendships and family relationships. even when work is intense. A work life balance is important, and experts now believe that loneliness may be as bad for our health as smoking or obesity. So you see, even in the Desiderata poem by Max Ehrmann, he said that a lot of problems come from loneliness. So let us avoid being lonely, and we should always keep in touch. Number 6, ask for help. None of us are superhuman. We all sometimes get tired or overwhelmed by how we feel or when things don't go to plan. Your employer may have an employee assistance program. These services are confidential and can be accessed free and without work finding out. You may also be able to access occupational health support through your line manager or your home resource uh, service. The first port of call in the health service is your general practitioner. Over a third visits to the GPs are about mental health. Your GP may suggest ways that you or your family can help you, or they may refer you to a specialist or another part of the health service. Your GP may be able to refer you to a counselor. And in our school, there we have, yes, as teachers, we have guidance counselors. So you may also ask their help for you to have a lesser expense because guidance counselors are trained that way. So shout out to our very active guidance counselor, Ma'am Renalyn Lorania. Hello. Thank you for watching. Number 7, take a break. A change of scene or a change of pace is good for your mental health. It could be a 5-minute pause from what you are doing, a book or a podcast during the commute, a half-hour lunch break at work, or a weekend exploring somewhere new. A few minutes can be enough to distress you. Give yourself some me time or some time for pampering. Sometimes people do pampering or self-care activities by going to a spa, taking a hike, bicycling. So you can do those things. Make sure to have a breather to take a break. If your employer offers mental health days, discretionary leave to look after your well-being, take this and make sure you use them well. Sleep is also essential to our mental health. Listen to your body. Without good sleep, our mental health suffers and our concentration goes downhill. It can be hard to take holidays and time off from work. When we are stressed, it can seem even harder to take the breaks we are entitled to when we need them the most. So you should try and plan periods of leave for the year so that you always have a break to look forward to. When you are on a leave or at home, resist the temptation to check in with work. If you find that you can't break away, it may be a sign that you should be re-examining your workload to manage stress. So, as one of the books, the Visual Festation book that I have read by Peter Adams, it's very important for us to set aside our priorities or to rank our priorities. They say that it's work-life balance, but personally, I don't agree with the term. It should be life-work balance. We should remember that we live not to work. We work to live, but we don't live to work. So you should enjoy living. Some are so workaholic that they forgot to live, they forgot to enjoy their life. So, it's time to reassess. When you are having that kind of attitude, reassess yourself and please take a break. Working cannot help you in the long term. Having a family, a good relationship with your family, with your friends, those are the things that matter the most. And take those opportunities, especially when you are allowed to have a leave. Number 8, do something you are good at. What do you love doing? What activities can you lose yourself in? What do you love doing in the past? Enjoying yourself can help beat stress. Doing an activity you enjoy probably means you are good at it, and achieving something boosts your self esteem. Concentrating on a hobby like gardening or doing crosswords can help you forget your worries for a while and can change your mood. It is okay to be good at your job. When you feel stressed, it can be easy to forget your talents or fall foul of the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome is the time where you feel like a fraud, that you don't deserve your successes. Remember that is only a temporary thing and remind yourself of your worth. If possible, you should plan your workload to include tasks you know you are good at, so as to sandwich things you know will be harder or more stressful. At work, you may have a hobby you'd like to share or join in with your colleagues on, like a work cycling club, a book group, a crafting group, and they can be a great way to share a skill with others. So, by doing those things, by doing a hobby, by enhancing your other talents, you are distressing. That's why it's very important to do something that you are good at, because it will increase the endorphins, it will lessen the stress, it will lessen the burnout, and it will help you in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term of your life. Number 9, which is very important for me, it's one of the most important thing for you to remember to avoid being stressed, is that you accept who you are. We are all different. It's much healthier to accept that you are unique than to wish you were most like someone else. Especially when other co-workers are getting promoted, you tend to feel low or you had low self-esteem. So no, stop those thoughts. Accept who you are. Feeling good about yourself boosts your confidence to learn new skills, visit new places, and make new friends. Good self esteem helps you cope when life takes a difficult turn. Be proud of who you are. Recognize and accept the things you may not good at, but also focus on what you can do well. If there's anything about yourself you would like to change, they are your expectations that are unrealistic. If they are unrealistic, work towards the change in small steps. Self acceptance and self care can be very hard when you have a mental health problem or an ongoing challenge that people need to work on. It can be tempting to invest everything in building self esteem around work success. That often means that people with mental health problems give everything at work and are high achievers. It also creates a risk that when things go wrong, when mistakes are made, or when change is necessary, people may take it personally. Number 10, the last number, care for others. You see, you may question, I am already stressed. I am already feeling burnout. Why should I care for other people? Oh, you are having a wrong thought, because caring for others is an important part of keeping up relationships with people close to you. Working life can provide opportunities to care for others. Contributing through vocational jobs like nursing or care work can be hugely significant for our mental health. In most jobs, you can choose to be there for your colleagues, either as a teammate or as a line manager, when strategies like coaching and training are good ways to support others. Helping can make us feel needed and valued, and those things boost our self-esteem. Volunteering can be hugely rewarding, and it helps us to see the world from another angle. This can help put our own problems into perspective. We begin to realize that what we are having are only a small fraction of a whole. So we think and we give more importance to the greater problems that the world is having. So our problems become smaller and our stress becomes lower. Many companies have volunteering opportunities and corporate social responsibility programs that enable staff to get involved in community work. Carrying responsibilities at home can be hugely rewarding to us, but also a source of stress. Our roles as parents or carers for relatives can collide with our work identities. carers are at a greater risk of developing mental health problems. So we should have or look for a work that can provide a respite for carers, as they can be someone else at work. So it is important to retain and support carers in the workplace. Workplaces that support flexible working, carers leave, child care voucher schemes, and other initiatives to support caring roles can have a big impact on staff mental health and productivity. It is with great importance that as we labor and work, we are in a healthy environment. Our mental faculties, once in optimum condition, can not only affect us personally, but also the people around us. And as professionals, they are the people that we interact daily and those that matter to us. Thus, it is a must for us to learn how to manage our stress and impairment to build a better place for everyone. Don't we like a better world? That's why Michael Jordan song a song, 'di ba? Right? Let's search or let's look forward for that better world. But if the workplace gets too much crowded and you become overburdened, may you not fail to turn to your best friend and our master teacher, the one who promised in Matthew chapter 11 verse 28 that we can come to him, all you who labor and are heavy laden, because he will give you rest. That is found in Matthew chapter 11 verse 28. He also said in Isaiah chapter 43 verse 1 that he will be with us. In Psalms chapter 50 verse 15, he also promised to deliver us. In Psalms chapter 32 verse 8, he said that he will watch over us. And in Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 12, his perennial offer that he will always listen to us. May you remember your Creator in the days of your youth and your age, and know that in his embrace, he will not fail you. My dear professionals who are listening to me today or who will access this presentation later, may you always remember that prioritizing your health, prioritizing yourself is not a selfish attitude. Because as Paul and Silas says in Acts, that we can only give what we have. So take care of yourself so that you can give more for other people. Thank you for listening, and God bless us all.
Once again, welcome, ma'am, to our Q&A session. And
Thank you, Nisha.
thank you, ma'am. And I'm requesting to my lovely participants, please ask a question in our comment box and please press our speaker name. And we are waiting for your question. And I think I have some question when you start your presentation. Let me find that question now.
They're probably so entertained by my delivery that they forgot to ask questions.
Okay, I think question is from Ruli Kanti. Wellness is more important than all the six months. How are to impart all the six among students? The heart of education is education of learning.
Hello, Chandra. Thank you for that question. Actually, there are seven aspects by Dr. Revel Miller that I have discussed. And I did not say that wellness is more important than the rest of them or the mental aspect is more important than the rest of them. I emphasize that all of them are an interplay. They are all equally important. When one part is sick, the other part will usually be sick. So we should take care of all those parts. But sadly, what happens in our society today is that we do not take care the mental side of things. When one is mentally ill, we have a stigma. They are stigmatized. We do not cater the best for them. They're often ostracized in our society. That's why it's very important for us that you are listening in this program right now to help break that stigma against mental health disorders. And now, how are we to impart that kind of education? Actually, the education or the heart of education is not just the education of the heart. It's the education of the totality of man, the education of the mind, the education of our social skills, the education of our body. It should be an entirety, not just some may even say that they are not financially educated because of the holistic style of our education, which is also bad because we have to make our students be literate. And as a teacher, it's very important to impart a holistic kind of education to my students. And one of that education that is my cause as a values education teacher is that I want to train them not to ostracize their classmates who are feeling depressed, not to say that when one is crazy, they cannot be functional again, because functionality is not defined by one factor only. So our education should not just be an education of heart, but it should be the entirety of man. Our body, our emotional aspect, our social aspect, our behavior aspect, our spiritual aspect, and most especially the mental aspect. So thank you, Chandra.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your beautiful answer. So let's see the next question. Is how to overcome. Okay, it's from Ma'am Dina Bartolome. How to overcome stress.
Hello, Ma'am Gina. We have the same last name. Ma'am Gina, I already discussed them in the very comprehensively. Yes, it was even lengthy in our discussion. The 10 tips from the United Kingdom. I have the link in the slides a while ago, or I can send them later after my discussion or after this Q&A. I will send the link of the 10 tips of how to support mental health in our workplace. So those tips are also very important to overcome stress. So if you were not able to listen to all of those 10 tips, let me go briefly over them. Number one is you talk about your feelings. Number two is you keep active. Number three is you eat well. Number four is you drink sensibly. Number five is you keep in touch with your friends or relatives or your family. Number six is you ask help. Number seven, you take a break. You take a leave. Do not work to live, but do not live to work, but you work to live. So prioritize your life before working. Do not be a workaholic type of person because workaholics usually are overwrought with stress. And number eight, do something you are good at. Number nine, you should accept who you are. So that is for me, accepting who you are, that is one of the most important thing of overcoming stress. Because by knowing that, you know your limits, you know what you can do, so you will be able to know how to adjust and to live within your scope. And last is the you should learn how to care for others. Because in caring others, you are also caring for yourself. So those are the 10 tips that I have comprehensively discussed in our webinar today. And if you can go over them, our discussion, it was even almost an hour. So you go over them and you review it again, because I know that, Nisha, this discussion will be put in the in the page, right? You
Yes,
can go over this
yes,
again
after
and
the
again.
program, they can see the recorded live.
Yes, so any one of you who was not able to attend the webinar from the start to finish, you can access them later. And from there, you will know how to overcome stress, which is one of the most hazardous instances that are happening to us, especially professionals.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
So I'm requesting to Ma'am Gina. You can see the recorded live after this program ends, and you can see all the slides we've shared with us, and you can also get your answer too. So dear now seeker, we are still waiting for your question. So okay, it's from Ma'am Cherry Maguchi. What is your insight to see people who suffer from emotional stress or pains, not talking about it, instead buried themselves to work? Do you think it be considered as one coping man mentionism, a
Mechanism.
good, yes, a good or bad? Okay.
Uh, Hello, Cherry Yamaguchi. Are you Japanese? Because Japanese people, because of their quality as one of the perfect countries in the world, they have perfectionist tendencies, and I understand where you are coming from, especially not being able to talk about your feelings. That's why it is actually the first tip that was given to us from United Kingdom, that you should be able to talk about our feelings, because in talking, that's the first step that we will be able to know the things that we will do for us not to suffer emotional stress and pains. Because once we keep it inside, it will be good in a short term basis, but I assure you, you will burst. And when you burst, you will be like an explosion or an explosive device, which will not only harm yourself but harm other people, especially if you are working in a very stressful environment. That's why it's very important. It's not just actually talking about your feelings, but about reconnecting with other people. And in some tips that I discussed, that is very important that you have a sounding board. Because if you have a sounding board, you will be able to have an outlet. You'll be able to let out of your feelings. So, and that way, you will lessen the stress that you are having. And it's not just about talking verbally. You can talk through writing in your journal, or you can make poems, you can make essays, you can write letters even, as long as you are able to express yourself. Because if you don't express yourself, if you don't talk about your feelings, I assure you that is a very bad coping mechanism. And let's get out from the bad coping mechanism. Our goal here is for us to have a good coping mechanism and a way for you to relieve the stress that we have in our work environment. Because once we have a good working environment, we can perform better. It will not only benefit us personally, but it will benefit us corporately, in our school, in our job and offices, in our community, and even our nation as a whole. That's why it's very I made this topic because, as what I have researched, the United Kingdom spends 225 billion euros just to alleviate the mental health issues that their country is having, because of those workers who are taking leaves and taking consultations because of mental health problems. And it's because they are not able to talk about it. So, break the stigma. It's okay to be not okay. So do not feel ashamed of talking about your feelings. But in talking, be careful. Find the people that you can trust. Do not talk to everyone because they may even worsen the situation. Okay? So thank you, Cherry, for that question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with our participants. And I think the way you present your describes your presentation, we have learned so many things from this presentation. Okay, one last
Cherry has
question.
a follow-up question. Do you sometimes feel bad when you want to help someone whom you know needed some help, yet refuses to accept? Of course. I often feel that because as a teacher, I see a lot of students who are needing help, especially in overcoming their emotional struggles, but they are not even accepting of the help. So, as a teacher or as a person who knows better, I have to accept them just as they are. I have to send subtle signals, offer some help, probably not the help that they need, that I think they needed, but pray for them. That's the best thing, the best help that I can give is praying for those persons who needed my help, and pray that they will accept the help that I can offer in some form or another. Or sometimes I approach people who are closer to them, whom I know that they trust, and tell them of things of how they can help the other friend who needs the help. And it's normal if you are feeling it's you are feeling bad because you have friends or families who don't accept your help. It's a normal thing because as human beings we are inclined for goodness. We want to help people as much as we can, but we have to respect their boundaries. Yes, that's the thing. We have to respect the boundaries that they have for themselves, that they have for other people, because probably we are not on that level yet to help them. And we should pray for God's perfect timing that He will use us to be His vessels to help those people whom you see that are needing your help.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And please say a last verse to our participants.
Oh, so thank you, Nisha, for sponsoring and hosting our program this afternoon. And I would like to thank everyone who watched, who supported, who sent their questions, especially to my co-workers and fellow teachers in Tapas National High School. I know you have sent so many pictures of me discussing our topic today, and I'm so proud of you. I'm so delighted of how supportive you are of our cause in promoting mental health, of having a good working environment in the past National High School. I love you all so much. Special mention to Ma'am Willin Legarda, to Ma'am Marlene Garde, to Ma'am Renalyn Lorania, to Ma'am Weng Simasio Gloria, to I failed to mention some of you, but I know that you have watched to Ma'am Rita, Sheila Palomar. Thank you so much for watching, and to all of you who have supported me in this speaking stint. May you continue not just supporting me, but you continue to support the Institute of Global Professionals, and someday you'll also be able to share your knowledge in this field that this organization has organized, because what we are doing is a very noble cause. Just imagine that we are sharing knowledge for free. They are even offering free certificates. So thank you so much, Institute of Global Professionals. I am so honored for this opportunity that you have given me. May you continue shining. May you bless more people for conducting this kind of events, and may God be always in your favor.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And we are also honored to have you, ma'am. Thank you.
Can I forget? Can I add more? My family also, especially my sister Karen June and Kathleen Seth. Thank you for commenting and for sharing this link to your friends. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye
ma'am.
bye.
Have a good